$2,600 for electricity? Why has it skyrocketed like this? Despite my frugal efforts, something was definitely off. I decided to call the power company for an inspection. Was there wiring here before? Unnatural wiring stretched from the exterior wall. It connected to an extension cord, which led to an unused barn. Why here? A window, hidden from the outside, was open, leaking sounds like a TV. Someone's there! Without hesitation, I unplugged the extension cord. A scream came from the barn. I knew it! Inside, I found an unbelievable scene. I'm Shay, a 30-year-old. Born into a landowning family, I took over my ancestral home after my parents passed, living with my husband Jack, 2 years my senior. Managing our rental properties is my job. Watching dramas and indulging in trendy desserts is my bliss. I adore our quiet town and peaceful life. Jack, gentle and easily persuaded, contrasts with my strong, just, and patient nature. We have a good marriage despite being opposites. He loves gaming for hours, which sometimes causes arguments, though I too can spend hours on dramas. Our home sits on a vast property with storages and outbuildings. However, I've been procrastinating on their maintenance. After it cools down, I plan to start cleaning up. My mother-in-law, now living alone far away after my father-in-law's passed away. She is straightforward, which I find difficult and don't get along well with her. However, I sometimes feel a little worried about her living alone far away. I subtly rejected Jack's suggestion of living together. I proposed I'm reluctant to live together completely, but I'm thinking of renovating our house into a duplex, remodeling an outbuilding, or offering her a unit in our apartment building. What do you think? Well, I can't come to a conclusion right away, let's discuss it with her later. Jack said, but the conversation hasn't progressed. It seems like getting a call from time to time, but he hasn't started the conversation yet. When asked, he casually says she's fine, so I don't press. There was no rush from me, so I didn't worry too much about it and lived peacefully. Our electricity bill has recently surged. Jack and I agreed to replace appliances with energy-efficient ones, so that we can enjoy our hobbies more responsibly. I hope to save some money. Then, suddenly, Jack revealed surprising news. His mother would soon move to our town. The sudden news came as I was looking for alternatives to living together. I wish you'd discussed it earlier. Well, she just brought it up suddenly, so I didn't have time to discuss it with her. Although she might be hesitant to live with me, having her nearby was reassuring. If she lives nearby, I can feel safe. So, where does she live? An apartment or a house? Well, I tried asking where she'd live, but Jack evaded the question. After that, my mother-in-law came to visit us several times, but like my husband, she was vague about where she lived. Despite the initial awkwardness, it wasn't really a problem, so I decided not to worry about it. We bonded over dramas and desserts, sharing hobbies, easing my discomfort around her. I thought maybe we could live together. My mother-in-law started coming to visit us frequently. She was also hesitant at first, but she gradually opened up to me and seemed relaxed. Gradually, her behavior became uncomfortable for me. Her frequent visits became intrusive, interfering in our life and crossing lines. She criticized our appliance replacement. The other day, when I was buying new home appliances, she suddenly appeared and complained, "It's such a luxury to replace all the home appliances. Such a waste when there are still some that can be used. What will you do with the old ones?" I offered Mom the air conditioner and planned to store the rest in the barn. I'll gratefully take the air conditioner. Something about their exchange felt off. The timing of her appearance was also eerie, as if she had been waiting for something. I noticed odd signs, like a recently used bathroom and rapid toilet paper depletion. Sometimes, I'd relax alone at home, skipping chores secretly, only to be scolded by both of them. It felt like someone was watching me, which was a bit scary. Those two are hiding something from me. Still, I was thrilled with our new energy-efficient appliances. I naturally forgot about that. I was hoping they'd cut down our soaring electricity bills. Jack seemed to have tidied the old appliances in the barn. I was grateful he managed it despite being busy. After upgrading our appliances, my mother-in-law started visiting even more frequently. And her behavior escalated. She'd make snide remarks like the walls are damaged. You're not maintaining the house well. Or hint at something by saying, there's dust here. Aren't you cleaning properly? Maybe this house is understaffed. Fed up, I decided to pretend I wasn't home the next time she came. The following day, she arrived, acting as if nothing was wrong. I stayed inside, watching her from a distance. She seemed frustrated when I didn't come out and eventually disappeared from sight. But strangely, it didn't seem like she left the property. What's going on? Is she still around? When Jack came home from work, I discussed her bizarre behavior with him. He seemed a bit flustered, saying maybe she was just looking at the flowers on the property and left quietly. Jack's behavior became odd too. One night, I found him leaving for work at an unusual hour and asked him, "Where are you going at this time?" "My company has started a flex schedule, and there's also a night shift I need to attend," he explained, which sounded unbelievable. This continued for several days, with him leaving at different times and sometimes not returning for a whole day. His explanation didn't add up, and I suspected he was hiding something. Maybe he's hiding something from me. As summer neared its end, I hoped our electricity bill would be lower thanks to our energy-efficient appliances. But I was shocked when I saw the bill. $2,600? Why has it skyrocketed like this? I couldn't make sense of it. How could our electricity usage reach $2,600? I panicked and discussed it with Jack, who blamed me, saying, "Maybe it's because you left the air conditioner on all the time. I told you to turn it off occasionally." I regretted leaving it on, but knew that couldn't be the only reason for such a high bill. I was sure that couldn't be the only reason. Then, my mother-in-law, who happened to be at our house, gloated upon hearing this. "Even with the latest appliances, it's pointless if you're not mindful. Now's not the time for ordering desserts," she said, rubbing it in. I was furious. "I'll get to the bottom of this." I decided to check all the appliances in the house. I was sure I'd been saving energy, unplugging and used appliances, but something was still wrong. Unable to figure it out myself, I called the power company for an inspection. The inspector checked every appliance and their wiring. He discovered a wiring stretching from the exterior wall. "Was there wiring here before?" "No, that's odd." We followed the wiring with the inspector. It was connected to an extension cord leading to a large and used outbuilding we were using as a barn. "Why here?" The building had no gas or other utilities and was left as a storage space, not fit for living. But a window, hidden from outside view, was open, and sounds like a TV were leaking out. "Someone's there. Could it be?" It all clicked in my head. Without hesitation, I unplugged the extension cord. A scream echoed from the barn. "I knew it! I recognized the sound of dramas." Just then, Jack returned from work. I found out why our electricity bill is so high. I exclaimed, but he seemed reluctant to hear it. "I'm tired, can we talk about this later?" he said, heading to his room. I called out to his retreating back. "There's an electricity thief." At that moment, he tensed up and paled. "Seems like we have a huge rat living in the barn." He looked panicked and tried to leave, but I continued. "That rat is about to come out," I said mockingly. True to my words, the thief rat appeared, breathless. "Were you watching the drama? Did you record it?" "I was at a good part," she said, barging into the house and expertly resuming her drama on the TV. "What in the world are you thinking?" "I'm watching a drama, don't talk to me now." She reached for the air conditioner remote, turning it on as if she was at her own home. I was baffled and infuriated by her audacity. "Hey! Get me a drink, will you? You're so inconsiderate." My anger reached its peak. "Drink this." I slammed a half-drunk bottle onto the table. Stunned, my mother-in-law stared at me. "Enough is enough, you wicked woman. You're sorely mistaken if you think I'm clueless. Alongside requesting the power company's investigation, I had initiated another inquiry. Hey, you've been planting hidden cameras and bugs in our house, haven't you? I had always felt surveilled, suspecting that she knew things only I should know. The inspection revealed hidden listening devices and cameras in power strips. She had been monitoring me and sneaking in to use the bath and watch TV whenever I was away. I stopped her from fleeing and, with Jack, took her to the barn. There, we found our old appliances neatly arranged, clearly showing she had been living there. And Jack's computer and gaming gear were all there. He had been indulging in games there, unbeknownst to me. His frequent exits under the guise of flexible work hours and night shifts made sense now. What a cozy place you've got here. But, this is my property. Were we living together? I said sarcastically. My mother-in-law retorted angrily. I never wanted to live here. It's different from what was promised. Jack, you ungrateful son. Shay, you're a demon of a wife. What do you mean? I was confused. Jack, sweating and avoiding eye contact, was pressured to explain. Explain properly. He admitted slowly. I told Mom we could live together. Why would you decide something so important on your own? I wanted to reassure her quickly. She initially refused out of consideration for Shay, but I assured her it was settled. Jack had broached the subject of living with his mother after making these promises. When I showed reluctance and suggested alternatives like converting our house into a duplex or renovating an outbuilding, he asked his mother to wait. My husband decided to let her live in a barn on our family's property without telling me, as she had nowhere else to go. Jack secretly settled her in our barn, telling her it was temporary while we prepared for living together. Jack also found comfort there, away from my criticisms and immersed in his games, neglecting his work. He felt comfortable in such an environment and continued to live this life. I was planning to tell you eventually, but couldn't find the right time. I wired electricity from the main house to avoid detection. You set up the bugs and cameras, didn't you? I'm sorry, I told her it was okay to enter the house when you're not around. There's no gas in the barn, so she couldn't take a shower. The thought of being constantly watched was disturbing. I couldn't help but feel creepy thinking that I was being watched 24/7. I was told it was temporary, so I put up with it. But it became unbearable, and I asked Jack about living together. He kept evading the topic. I wanted to speak to you directly, Shay, but he warned me not to, fearing you'd blow up. I thought I was that kind of person to you. If we had a proper discussion, none of this would have happened. I felt guilty staying here. It's in your name, Shay, and I couldn't stay forever. I hoped to get along, visiting your house, but got irritated and ended up saying mean things. I was a bit sad when you pretended not to be home. I was shocked she knew about my feigned absence. She continued, slightly defiant. I checked when you weren't home to use the bath and watch TV. Jack said it was fine, and since we were supposed to live together, I used it without hesitation. I just wanted to live comfortably here. Tears welled in my mother-in-law's eyes as she made her appeal. My anger towards Jack grew. This whole situation stemmed from his people-pleasing and selfish behavior. My mother-in-law was just another victim. You say it was hard to tell me, but you were just gaming here all the time, weren't you? Were you planning to let your mom stay here indefinitely? Jack remained silent, head bowed. Jack, you put me through this and deceived Shay. I didn't raise you to be such a lazy and cunning person. My mother-in-law scolded him fiercely, then deeply apologized to me. Shay, I'm sorry. I have some inheritance, so I'll rent a place to live. Suddenly, the usually mild-mannered Jack erupted. Don't pin it all on me. Maybe it's because Mom's snide comments made Shay dislike her, preventing us from living together. Go ahead and leave if you want. I'll live with Shay, just the two of us. His words stunned me. What was he thinking? Starting tomorrow, I'll start looking for a house and packing up my belongings. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. My mother-in-law apologized to me without making any objections. When we left the barn and returned to our house, my husband said to me with a casual look on his face, "I'm sorry for what my mom did. Now you can go back to your normal life." Does he think this is all over? In the end, he said something like this. "So, can I use that empty barn as my room?" My husband put his mother through a terrible experience and deceived his wife, but he shows no remorse at all. He has always thought only of himself. My fists shaking with anger, I returned to my room and opened my computer. The next morning, my husband went to work as if nothing had happened. As usual, I saw him off with a smile. I quickly returned to my face and glared at his back. This will probably be the last time I see him off. Once his car was out of sight, I sprang into action. I called the company I had researched yesterday. That night, my husband came home and knocked at the front door. But no one comes out. Huh? Isn't it strange? Nobody is here at this hour. The door was locked. He tried to open it with the key he had. "The keys don't fit. What's going on?" Jack was frantic, calling me repeatedly. I didn't answer right away. Finally, I responded. "The house keys aren't working?" "Oh, I changed them. And I've stored all your belongings in a rental storage." "What do you mean?" "Divorce." "What?" "Didn't you hear? I'm divorcing you." "Why?" "We resolved the issue with Mom. We don't have to live together." "You don't understand anything. Divorce is the only certainty." "I won't accept this. No matter what, I won't agree to a divorce." "Well, I'll do as I please," I said, hanging up the phone. Jack, seemingly in despair, called me again, but I didn't answer. He's kind, but it's a weakness for his own self-preservation, avoiding taking any risks. This entire ordeal showed he's always been self-centered, trying to have it both ways. I was thoroughly disgusted with him. Reluctantly, Jack went to the barn to seek help from his mother. But it was empty. He called her repeatedly with no answer. Desperately, he banged on our house door, pleading, "Please, let me in. I won't talk about divorce." "Stop it. I'll call the police," I warned, and he slinked away. We watched his dejected figure from the window. Later, I sent a divorce notice, demand for alimony, and the rental storage keys to his workplace. I won't agree to a divorce no matter what, he had said, but now, with such documents sent to his company, he had no excuse. As expected, he reluctantly accepted the divorce. I received the divorce papers and alimony payment proof from him, along with a message begging not to send anything more to his company. Holding these documents, we smiled at each other. "It worked out well, Shay." "Yes, let's have some coffee." "Thank you." We relaxed with trendy desserts and warm coffee. My mother-in-law in front of me was happily munching on the treats. After witnessing Jack's true nature that day, I decided on divorce. Once he left for work, I had movers clear out his belongings to a rental room and changed the locks. I then reconnected with my mother-in-law for a calm discussion. It turned out we had misunderstood each other, both strong in our sense of justice and disliking dishonesty. She also hated being crooked and was furious at my husband's true nature. We found common ground in our disdain for Jack's behavior. "I'm really sorry, Shay. I misunderstood you too. I'm so sorry. You're a much better wife than Jack deserves. I'm ashamed of him. I'll cut ties with him," she said, supporting my decision to divorce. Jack, now forced to live in a one-room apartment and facing financial strain due to alimony, had to work hard and cut back on his gaming. On the other hand, although my mother-in-law intended to find her own place, she couldn't find one. So, I renovated the barn into a comfortable living space for her. I arranged an environment so that she could live with me properly. She happily moved in, paying rent and utilities. Of course, the electricity bill is included. ensuring no more mysterious spikes in our electricity bill. We enjoy watching dramas and tasty sweets together, feeling like we've found a close friend in each other. We're quite content with this comfortable distance in our living arrangement.